What are you looking at?
I'm looking through the sale paper because I know that on Sundays they run new ads for phones.
You're looking at buying a new phone?
Yeah.
But we don't have the money for you to buy a new phone.
Listen, my phone, the antenna, sometimes it doesn't come out, it gets stuck, and then this, I mean, look at the, who can work with this?
But listen, you getting a new phone means that you get the new phone and I get the hand-me-down. That's how it always works.
But you know what, it's still a pretty good phone though
Do you
for
know what?
you.
I don't have time for that because I have to work through these workbooks that I got for our business that I bought last week.
Workbooks? What workbooks?
The workbooks that I bought last week at that conference we attended.
Who said anything about buying workbooks?
I told you that I needed these to be able to train our people. Welcome to Marriage Matters Monday, where you just had a sneak peek into a real crazy cycle moment that happened in our relationship about a decade ago.
Yes, and this particular crazy cycle deals with becoming the dream squasher, as we say.
Oh, yes.
Where, I had a dream about upgrading my cell phone.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth.
I had a dream about really using these conference materials to really benefit the people that I would be training.
And in my dream, I saw that I would have a modern device, one that actually would turn on and stay on, one that I could do some calendaring, scheduling, and potentially do some internet when I needed it. That was part of my dream.
Yes, and for me, I really felt like it would be a way for me to equip people better at the time using those materials.
And so when I would go cell phone shopping, I saw it as, you know what, this is my dream and I would like to pursue it. But at that point, Elizabeth became the accountant.
Oh, yes. All I could think about was how much money wasn't in the account in order to fund his new cell phone. But at the same time, what you have to know is that when we attended that conference, I went straight up to the table. He can attest to this.
Yes.
And I bought the conference material without consulting him.
That's right.
And because what? I prioritized that amount of money, even though we were still really in the same financial condition when I made that purchase. But it was my dream and I was going to fulfill my dream.
And so now where she was the accountant, now I felt like I was the person who was robbed, literally, of my dream. The truth of the matter is that we all have dreams.
Yes.
Some are more realistic than others. Some are on a shorter timetable than others.
And so what's important is that we do not immediately take on the role of being a dream squasher with our spouse. That first and foremost, that we would take time to better understand. You could do that by asking questions, by having really a conversation with each other, and setting some maybe boundaries and guidelines for what does this look like in our marriage, especially when it has to do with our finances.
Mm-hmm.
So what this situation helped to teach us is that we needed to sit down and establish what those boundaries would look like. And I know for me, being the accountant, one of those was to really decide together how much money could we go out and spend without consulting with our spouse, and that be okay with our spouse.
And that's going to vary for you as it did for us. But whatever that number is, choose it and stick to it.
Yes.
Purposefully. So if you say that $100 is the amount that you must check in with your spouse before you make that purchase, well then you know what, set that and stick to it. Now that doesn't mean that you can go out and buy $10 items and just keep on going, because you
still spent $100.
You spent your budget. So you want to make sure that you stay within that budget. But major purchases, whatever delineates a major purchase, make
In
sure
your
that you
relationship,
agree
yeah.
with your spouse on that number.
Yes, and I think the other thing that we really started doing was just trying to have conversations about what our dreams were, and really being open to hearing what our spouse was thinking, what the needs were, and for it to be a conversation rather than we're just dictating to each other what we have already decided. So then rather than it feeling one-sided, we began to learn how to make it a partnership where together we were making these decisions where we could each be okay with what we were going to do moving forward.
Because as I said before, we all have dreams. And my dreams, I see them and I believe in them and I have feelings about them. Elizabeth has her own dreams.
Yeah.
And because I don't share those same thoughts and those same feelings, lots of times when she shares a dream or when she would share a dream, I would dismiss it as childish or foolish. And no one wants to feel that way about their dreams.
Oh, and let's be really clear. I totally did that to Fred a lot. So your challenge this week is going to be to really consider where in your relationship do you tend to be a dream squasher. It could be different for the wife, could be different for the husband, but what we want you to do is to really consider where are those areas where dream squashing gets you on the crazy cycle, because you got to be able to identify them before you can really address them.
That's right. So this week, be sure to share your questions or your comments down below to where you have seen dream squashing in your relationship and how you have found success.
That's awesome. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here next week for Marriage Matters Monday. By the way, those training materials that I bought, I never used them. And last year, like we're talking 10 years later, I sold them for only $50. I paid a lot more than that for them.
I heard that.